up, we have Annette Daniels Taylor. And Annette is an award-winning author of the children's book series, The Marvelous Marvella, JQ, about an Afro-Latina girl who talks to animals, as well as 2 novels in verse, Shoot the Storm and Dreams on Fire, all published by West 44 Books. Her poems are featured in the 15th 3-poem chapbook published by the Poetry Collection at the University of Buffalo Library Special Collections. She's a founding director of Queen Major Projects, LLC, a cultural arts production studio. Here's Annette, but I also want to tell you that she is a performing artist as well, because we've seen her here many times perform things here at the Downtown Central Library. So Annette, come on over.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you, everyone. And my shameless, non-shameless, unshameless, I am unashamed. My plug is that I am directing Junie B. Jones at Theater of Youth, and it will open in December. So if you like Junie B. Jones or you like, Christmas shows for kids, come out and see it. It's going to be great. My name is Annette Daniels Taylor, and we're going to talk about unconventional or alternative publishing paths. And I thought of this because after a conversation with Ann Conable about how I got published, my first introduction into publishing was as a self-publisher. I published a book of poems because I was doing readings and people kept asking me if I had anything for sale. And my husband said, "People like souvenirs!" So we literally printed 10 copies of 7 poems, and he drew the cover. So that was the first real independent self-publishing. We actually created it ourselves. And then later on, I also went to Amazon and KDP Publishing, and I did that. So these 6 ways are the ones that I consider alternative, the roots to publishing. Traditional publisher, educational publisher, hybrid publishers, independent, self-publishing, and the dreaded pay-to-play publisher. Next. So traditional publishing, we all know the really big guys that you dream of, the Random Houses, the Penguin Books, I don't know, there's others out there. They give you a big, commission, first payment, right? And you're asked to give them, we want the first 10 chapters by such and such a date, and then they're going to edit them, then they're going to say, okay, this is the direction you're going in, we want you to do this, blah, blah, blah. And that's great, that's the dream, right? And most of us get rejected by them, or the traditional publishers, you can't get to them unless you have a literary agent, or you know someone, or you're friends with an editor. So there's some issues with getting to that dream publisher. And like Lisa mentioned, even if you get a contract with a traditional publisher, you're still, the marketing and promotion is still on you. It's still your baby. So in essence, whether you have a traditional publisher or you're self-publishing, you're still an independent publisher because you're an independent worker. You're on contract. The only non-independent authors I can think of are the ones that get regular paychecks from a writing organization. The great thing about the traditional publisher, they have incredible distribution networks. You get prestige and credibility. Yeah, I have a book published by Simon & Schuster. They do marketing and promotion, and you will have contractual obligations to continue more marketing and promotion, designing a book tour and going on it. Sometimes you have to front money for the book tour, sometimes not, depends on the size of the publisher and the contract that you have signed with the publisher. We see the negatives: long process, low royalties because they're giving you an advance payment. less creative control. You're going to be told a lot more of what they want you to do to sell this book. Sorry. There we go. Educational publisher. Now, I know a little bit more about educational publishers because that was my next leap into the 6 publishers. A friend of mine, who is a writer and now an author, called me and said, Annette, I just signed this contract with this book company and they're looking for writers to write novels in verse. Oh, right up my alley. And I thought of you. So the first step was writing a query letter, which I had never done before. So I did what most Americans do. I went to Google and said, how do I write a query letter? And then I wrote several query letters and had friends of mine read them and give me feedback on it before I sent it out. Now the query letter is 1 page. Don't do more than 1 page. And it tells the publisher or the editor why you're the best person to write this book, or why you want to write this book, what this book is about, how many pages, how many words this book is going to have. The great thing about educational publishers for me was they had a wide reach. Lots of schools, lots of libraries. They go to all the book conferences and festivals to sell your book. There is marketing promotion. I felt prestigious saying, you know, I got my book, and it had a publisher's name on the back, right? It was in some libraries, it was in bookstores, it was in school libraries, and that made me feel really excited. And I received advance payment. And for the educational publisher that I had, everyone that wrote for them, everyone that had a contract, we were seen at, it was a commission, right? That's how they told us. We were independent contractors. We received a commission. We had a date to hand in the first manuscript, and the second and the third. We had a specific editor that we worked with on a regular basis. And when there was time to design the cover, we got proofs. We didn't decide, really. They decided, and they tell us what they like. We can ask and make sort of changes, but it's not guaranteed, right? And you do get royalties. That was the exciting part for me. Oh, I'm gonna get some royalties because it is your baby, it's your project. The educational publisher, like other publishers, depending on your contract, will own the printing rights to your book. So let's say you want to make an audiobook. Unless your contract says they own the audiobook rights, you have the right to do an audiobook. But if they say printing rights, including digital book, then they're gonna own that for perpetuity until something happens, and just read the contract. But I loved it. The new initiatives that my publisher, educational publisher, had were high-low novels, which are novels with very high interest, but written in a way that low reading levels can read and feel really accomplished in. They were also doing novels in verse, which were also high-low, meaning the novels in verse were 200 pages and 10,000 words. Basically about 50 words a page. So if you can really consider how to narrow down your subject, how to narrow down your story, and to make it really interesting to the reader audience that you're gearing your stories to, you can be very successful in this kind of genre. Educational publishers also, things to keep in mind, it is a competitive market. There are very short or very long lead times. Like, you'll be waiting a long time to get your book published. Or, like, we need that book, we need that manuscript in 2 months. Like, that was the situation in my, especially in my Marvelous Marvella series. It was like, as soon as I wrote the first one, I should have been working on the next one, and then the next one, because it was really important to have this series available to kids when they went into the library. So as soon as I read the first one, they wanted the next one to be available. So that was something that I was working on. Independent publishers. Now, independent publishers are just like the traditional publishers, except they're smaller. So that means that their resources are smaller, their staff is smaller, their range is smaller, and possibly their author base is smaller, so you will get a bit more attention with an independent publisher. The other thing about the independent publisher is because everything is smaller and you will get more attention, royalties are going to be smaller, advances are going to be smaller, right? But the other thing about independent publishers is also that they can also focus on a more niche author subject. So if you are a mystery writer or a romance writer or you write poetry, an independent publisher may be where you want to go depending on your goals, your budget, and your time. Some of us want to publish right away. Some of us don't want to wait like that. Sorry. So self-publishing. That's where I started, right? So self-publishing, you do all the work, you reap all the rewards, you invest all the money, and you get all the royalties, right? Someone was asking me about royalties and how many actual numbers of books. I have sold I've sold a couple of thousand books in the educational publishing realm, right? But I haven't seen a royalty yet because my contract says I don't get a royalty unless I sell at least 5,000 books of a particular title. Some of my contracts are a little different depending on the book. So, at the end of the year, the publisher sends me a statement, has all the books listed, and all the sales, and all the royalties. I'm still waiting for that line to get filled. So I get excited when I know, look, I sold 500 more books than last year. That's so exciting, but I still get, but I feel okay because, they did give me a check to start with, and people are reading the book. However, every quarter, Amazon sends me a little digital statement letting me know how many books I sold. So every so often I'll sell a book in Amazon and I'll get $5. I'll get $7, maybe I'll get 21. Christmas time happens, sometimes I get $100 or so, and that feels good too. But it's not paying the bills, but it's serving a goal that I had as a writer and an author. So the thing about self-publishing too, a lot of what Lisa talked about, you can go the route and hire everybody you need if that is in your budget. If you decide that's not my budget and I really want to learn how to do that, self-publishing is perfect. Because now you have the opportunity to learn not just how to write your book, but how to write marketing copy, how to write the query letters, maybe, or how to write press releases, how to edit. And editing for me, I've always found is the exciting part of writing, right? That's when you get to go back and really look at the story that you thought you wanted to write, and now you get an opportunity to craft the story you really wanted to write. Because now you see what you have the bones. An editor, though, also has to look at the work very specifically without so much heart attached to it, right? We have to, if you're editing your own work, you have to be able to be very objective and separate yourself from it. So that can be a challenge. Cover design, layout. Lisa's told us that there are apps for that. Cover design is tough. You can go with the many different templates that a KDP has, or you can try and hire somebody or try your own hand at it. The marketing promotion, everywhere you publish, you will have to do your own marketing and promotion. Okay. The hybrid publishers, these are great, and it's a newer model because you get to do both, basically. They can share the cost of writing the book with you. You get higher royalties, and you get the professional services that, say, an independent publisher or a traditional publisher will give you. It really depends on what you feel most comfortable with. The pay-to-pay publishers, I think you may, I mean, I don't think there are as many out now as there used to be, say like in the 2000s, but these are the companies that ask for upfront fees. They want the money right now, and they're gonna help you. They're gonna edit, design, and market the book, they say. But you find out later that their services are very limited. They know maybe as much as you do about self-publishing, and you're gonna get very little back after you've made this investment. I don't advise anyone to pay to play publish. If you have to pay to play, then you might as well just be your self-published person and get all the money. Next, all right. So, in conclusion, all your publishing goals depend on your personal goals, independent of anyone else, your budget, and how much control you want to give to somebody else, and how much time you're willing to invest in the product of your ideas being the best that you want it to be. And thank you.
It's great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody have a question? I had a lot, okay.
Hi, my name is Kelsey. I'm currently an aspiring author on hiatus. My question, I guess, is like going for the self-publishing route is, do you have like a low to high number of the approximate cost? Because that's something that is a hindrance to me, where I think, well, I want to self-publish, but I'm never going to be able to afford it. So like on a low end to a high end, like, what would you expect to pay?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that depends on what who else you're paying, right? If you're just gonna do it yourself, then I would say expect to pay a lot in time invested. When I went the KDP route, I purchased a number of proofs to see the book in my hand before I said, okay, publish. I love that they offered that. So my book was a little paperback. It was like, you know, a little thing. And that was actually the least expensive book size they offered. So I don't know how much it is right now, but back then, I think it's still around the same. It was like $2.50 to get a proof. The proof came to my house in like 3 to 5 days. I look at it, I read it, I find errors. I see, I don't really like the way that cover looks in person, or I don't like the glossy, I want the matte. Oh, the matte leaves fingerprints. Oh, I don't want the white page, I want the off-white. I don't like this font. Oh, I want to put images on this page, etc. I want a dedication page. So, yeah. How much do you charge yourself an hour? Or, you know, what's your fee for the hour? $25 an hour? I'm gonna say, if you charge yourself, if you say your time is worth about $25 an hour, and you're gonna publish your own book, not even thinking about the time it's spent to go into writing the book, just to craft the actual product, I'm gonna say you're gonna take at least 100 hours, at least, to get that book to look the way you actually want it. So $2,500. Now, if it's just $2,500 in time, you just gotta make sure you devote that time. Every weekend, I'm gonna work on that book. Thank you. You're welcome.
How you doing? 2 questions. One, are you able to track sales yourself, or do you have to wait for them to tell you?
I can track sales myself with my educational publisher. I simply have to contact the sales manager who does it. There's not like an app or a site for me to go to. I simply have to like send an email and I can get it like that. KDP, self-publishing, yeah, you can track all your sales. They got all the like data and information for you.
Okay, and do you know about any printing houses that people could contact for self-publishing?
That's a good question. I would suggest to Google printing presses or printing houses in the Buffalo or Western New York area and see what their prices are and see if they offer the kind of book you're looking for. There are a lot of printing presses and presses here in the Buffalo area. And I also suggest you contact Western New York Book Arts. See if they have any connections or if they'd be interested or able to help you print or produce a book. They have actual printing presses, and I think it would be probably more liable for them to help you create a very limited book, but they might have other resources that could help you. And they're like right on Washington Street here. Everybody go to Western New York Book Arts. They're an amazing organization.
Hi, my name is Jenna Johanna, and you mentioned in the beginning that you did poetry readings. Do you have any recommendations of where we can find where we can do poetry readings?
Oh, that's a good question. I would suggest look at some Facebook poetry groups. They're the MT Coffee Cup. They do poetry readings, I believe, every Tuesday. And the Brandon Williamson's organization, Pure Ink Poetry, they also do poetry readings around the area. Check also the AKG. They sometimes have special poetry events going on there. And Just Buffalo Literary Center. They often, if you get on their email, they have a newsletter that goes out, and they put everything on their calendar. If anyone's having a literary event or a poetry reading, they usually will have it on their calendar, and you can find it just by going to their website, justbuffalo or justbuffalo.org.
Thank you. And then just my follow-up, for those of us who are absolutely terrified of public speaking, but we want to do readings, do you have any recommendations of how we can get calmer and speak with like a better flow, especially poetry, which oftentimes has a very uneven flow to speak out loud?
Practice. Record yourself. Get your phone out and get that audio recorder on, and keep taking the mic in moments like this.
Thank you.
Yeah, and fake it till you make it.
Hi, my name is Joe Fry. Two questions. First, from educational publishing, I infer that is just a young adult audience. Is that true, or do they have a wider audience?
They do have a wider audience. Depends on what kind of educational publisher you go toward or you submit to. University presses are educational publishers. Educational publishers traditionally produce textbooks. So textbooks can be, several authors, or textbook can have one author. Textbook can be for, elementary, middle, high, college levels, and it depends on what that publisher's interested in. The publisher that I work directly with, Rosen Publishing, they have an office here in Buffalo, and I think their headquarters is in New York. They're the ones that started the high-low and novels in verse initiative for, at first it was for middle schoolers, and then it was for high schoolers. And now they're expanding into elementary school, those two forms. Been very successful, I feel, and they have, that initiative is called West 44 Books. Rosen Publishing deals mostly with the textbooks and all that specific kind of education media. So,
and the second, thank you. And the second question, when you say pay to play, is that what used to be called vanity press?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We're going to take just two more questions. Unrelated to this, there's a bunch of people sitting in the back on regular chairs. We're gonna want them to come down and sit, because there are seats down here.
Hello, my name is MJ Felder. I very much enjoyed you. Thank you for being a part of this. I published my first 2 books and I've had mild success, but I would get tons of questions and I'm asked to do audiobooks, but I have no idea how to proceed. And I know I need to do it. I get so many people ask, so many of my readers want me to do audio. How do I proceed?
Okay, good question. I'm glad I have an answer for you. Some people do. I was just thinking. I have not recorded an audiobook. However, I know the process because I have worked with voiceover. The best way, in my opinion, to create your own audiobook is to go to audible.com. Unfortunately, for some people, audible.com is owned by Amazon. However, if you go to audible.com and you click on some links, you will be told, they have a tutorial on how to start your audiobook, and then once you're done, you can just upload it with an image of your book and be ready. I suggest watching all the tutorials and seeing all the different things that they offer. They allow you to audition voices. They give you tips on if you want to read yourself. They give you tips on how to arrange or design your recording booth and how to do it simply or how to do it extensively. So that would be the way that I would say to go. And then just probably research some other platforms that allow for audiobooks or other ways. I think Audible is good because not only do they have the option for the authors to read, they have options for actors to audition and to upload samples, and you have an immediate sales platform through their streaming service and through Amazon.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Oh, one more question? Okay. Yay.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Carmelita Mack. I have a question regarding can you self-publish an activity like workbook for schools? It's like an activity.
Yes.
So I can self-publish it as well?
I would suggest to go to YouTube and search self-publishing activity books so that you can get some tutorials and see how other people have done it with KDP Press. Because there are some tricks that you need to know before you actually put that, press publish.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.